Which was your worst I knew I shouldn't have done this moment? When I was 6 years old and stuck my little finger in a pencil sharpener and twisted it a few times like it was a pencil. I nearly passed out. Maybe you realized at an early age that you weren't that sharp. Nice. I bought the house we'd been renting for a few years without getting an inspection first. We were trying to do it super cheap, and I told my wife, look, we already know everything that's wrong with this house. Why bother getting an inspection? Follow up, we did not know everything that was wrong with this house, nor how expensive it would be to fix those things. A lot of people overlook how expensive an inspector actually isn't. $400 bucks shouldn't deter you from looking into a house you'll live in 4 years. $400 bucks. $400 bucks. Have to emphasize the money. 7th grade I accepted a dare to slap this girl on the butt. Turns out the principal was like 10 feet behind me and saw the whole thing. Took me straight to his office but something else came up and he told me he'd come pull me out of class later to discuss further. Enough time goes by that I assume he forgot. When he eventually shows up, he catches me looking at naked villagers in a National Geographic. Shook my head the entire time reading this comment. Lol. Goddamn, I'm so glad I'm not in 7th grade anymore. I was working as a stuntman, and it was my last performance with a particular stunt group. They wanted me to do a particularly dangerous version of a stunt that I was pretty uncomfortable with. I'd done the regular version thousands of times and could practically do it in my sleep. I agreed to do it because T was just the one time. What were the odds of me being hurt doing it just the one time, I thought. Later that day I was in the second hospital after being airlifted from the first because my injuries were too severe for it. Had literally a gallon of blood transfusions. They weighed me before and after and life-saving surgery. If you have a bad feeling about something, take it seriously. Not sure if dumbus or badass lol. Regardless, you're a trooper. Hope you healed up well and everything is good though. Yup. Fine now. Mostly dumbus. Wife has perma-banned me from jousting for life now. I was ironing my clothes when I decided to put the iron on the carpet while my mom went shopping. My roommate ironed his shirt and realized it was still kind of wrinkly once he put it on. So he tried to iron it while he was wearing it. Yeah, he has iron-shaped burn marks now. All I could ask was what did you think would happen? He was 28 at the time and generally isn't an idiot. I sometimes have moments like that where I think of something and do it without thinking. I'm not the smartest, but I'm definitely not stupid either. I think it's kind of a brain fart. In 4th grade my parents remodeled the kitchen. This involved digging up part of the foundation to rebuild the deck. As such, we had a giant dirt pile in the backyard. I was playing on it, jumped off, tripped and fell face first on concrete. I immediately knew something was wrong. I ran inside and opened my mouth and looked in the bathroom mirror. I was missing about a third of my top right front tooth. I distinctly recall saying out loud, "Yup, it's gone." I have a very similar injury and a story that'll be right at home on this thread. My twin brother got the idea to tow me on roller skates behind his bicycle. It took some convincing on his part. He thought it was the most awesome idea ever. I didn't. But he convinced me. He tied a jump rope to his bike as a tow rope, got me going absolutely stupid fast, and then my foot hit something. That's the I knew I shouldn't have done this moment. I fell on my face, ran into the house to get my knees and hands patched up, and then noticed that my tooth felt weird, sharp. Almost half of it was gone. Do you have a filling or a crown now? Either way, duck all that dental work. Bully started walking away, and my amazing brain came up with, yeah, you better walk away. He then turned around, and I shit bricks. Should have picked them up and thrown them at him. Epic comeback for epic gamers. I was about 5 years old and the next door neighbors took me to meet their horses. The mom gave very clear and explicit instructions on how to be near and handle the horses and proceeded to start to brush one of them. In my infinite wisdom, I walked behind the horse and very timidly grazed its beautiful tail with my small hand. That's the day I became the 1978 Connecticut State Rodeo champion. With lightning speed I was hit with a force I wouldn't again feel until as an adult I was in a car accident. I was launched out of the stall and halfway across the common area. As I lay stunned, gasping for breath, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Not gonna lie dude, it's a wonder you're alive. A horse kick to the skull can be deadly, let alone to a child. Children are fairly durable, they bounce back fast. See that dent in the kid's skull? Just apply some pressure to the sides of his head and it pops back out real easy. Just blow into their mouth like a water bottle. I touched the coil in a toaster with a knife while it was switched on. When the power in the house cut out, I thought I should not have done that. When I told my father what I'd done, I knew for sure I should not have done that. Edit. For those asking, no, I didn't get a beating. Dad was more worried about my well-being than anything else. Unfortunately, we lost him to cancer 2 weeks ago. He was a great dad. Reddit. When I was a child, my grandmother told me that if I did that, I would get electrocuted and die in a very painful way. To this day, I'm still low-key terrified of toasters. I ate 3 packs of noodles with 12 meatballs in 20 minutes. I'm assuming colleges in this context for some reason. Maybe. Day 2 of signing up for the army. How long did you last? Oh, I didn't quit. I just spent years saying I've made a huge mistake. Everyone who was in the military said that at least once a day for the duration of their enlistment. I also said I should have gone Air Force and I should have stayed in college a lot. Yes, the Air Force is a better choice. Got distracted while my wok with some oil and it was heating up. When I snapped back to reality, my hand just automatically threw in the dried chili flakes. It was like an out-of-body experience. My brain couldn't stop my hand in time. And that's how I maced myself and the dog. I did something similar. We were having a Halloween party and I was making jalapeno poppers. Deseeding them and putting the seeds in the garbage disposal. After about 40 jalapenos, I turn on the hot water in the garage disposal, creating a nice steamy mace. Forcing about 20 people out of the house. Laughing emoji. I pushed a pot of hot oil off the stovetop. Funny thing about physics, the oil splashed back all over my hand. I flushed down a houseplant down a toilet. I didn't want to make my parents mad at me for breaking the houseplant and I wanted to get rid of the evidence, so naturally I thought the best way to get rid of it was to flush it down the toilet. Flushed the toilet and none of the dirt went down. Started to panic and continued to flush for 20 minutes straight. Managed to get rid of all of it somehow. Now later I realized that probably wasn't at all good for either the environment nor the plumbing system. It's not that bad. It's just dirt and organic matter. It's a vague memory. I think I was around 3 or 4. Maybe 5. I had this big goof of a German shepherd who was my best friend and guardian, but who liked to eat bugs and lizards. We were living in Nicaragua, and so bugs and lizards were not in short supply. I don't know why I decided to copy the dog, but I saw a huge spider and decided to eat it. I have this memory that I'm sure has been exaggerated, but I clearly remember my little heart clasping a huge spider by the abdomen, legs sticking out between my fingers, and popping it into my mouth. I bit down, chewed, and still to this day have a vivid memory of the legs dangling out of my mouth as I ate this giant. It tasted awful, and it felt so terrible to bite down onto. I have occasional nightmares about it now, and I'm in my mid-40s. I want to time travel, just to tell 3 or 4-year-old me, don't eat that spider. Don't eat absolutely massive spiders, folks. You'll regret it. I bet your dog was impressed. He was a super cool dog, so probably. Responding to a, hey, how've you been? FB message from an ex. And also, pretty much any time I've loaned a person money. Yeah. I don't loan anyone more money than I'm willing to lose in the street and just assume I'm never going to see it again. I found out the hard way that people borrow to scale. Lending or borrowing $10 or $20 happened all the time. When I was younger, my family and friends were always fronting each other for this or that because we were all varying levels of broke and didn't mind helping each other out. It always worked out in the end. Asking someone to borrow $50 was like asking someone to lay down their life for me then. Felt like so much money to borrow. Fast forward to having a well-paying job and people not batting an eye asking if they can borrow $500, as if $500 isn't still $500 to me, and them being very casual about payback, figuring I don't need it. A friend asked to borrow $10,000. He was broke as hell, working part-time at a shit job, and in general was a pretty crappy employee in addition to being horrible with money. He wanted this car and talked about how it was such a great deal. When he told me about the car and how it would cost 10k, he casually mentioned, "I'll borrow the money from you and pay you back." My response was, "No, you won't. This is a bad idea. You should get a more reliable and cheaper car, plus you never pay people back." He bought the car and paid the owner back over 2 years.